Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Gather Round, a series of short chats with changemakers and people who support changemakers about philanthropy and building community through events. I'm Rhiannon O'Leary, and I'm the founder and lead producer of Gather Co., a full-service events firm serving nonprofits and social change efforts. These conversations are brief, but as a woman in a 5'2" frame, I know firsthand that mighty forces can come in small packages. So here we go. Today, we're joined by Olympia Ammon. She's the CEO of the Olympia Collective. She is a strategy consultant with over 24 years of experience helping nonprofits achieve bold revenue goals. I personally met Olympia about 16-ish years ago when we were both working at Teach for America. I was in the national office, and it was my first fundraising job. She's a force. She offers a wealth of expertise, boatloads of wisdom, and is so fun to hang out with. I welcome Olympia.
Hi, Rhiannon. Thank you for that. That was amazing. And I'm 2 inches taller than you, so I am also proof that
small but mighty.
Great things come in small packages.
So to kick us off, will you give us just a couple-minute introduction of what you do today, what the Olympia Collective does, and then, because I think it's endlessly interesting and sometimes we leave it out, what about your personal background has led to where you are today? Anything you're willing to share?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I left about 4 years ago, my full-time job as like one of the lead fundraisers in a nonprofit. And my career's actually been, progressively moving up in a leadership role in fundraising within a nonprofit. So an in-house fundraising person.
Mm-hmm.
And when you and I met, that was one of probably my second management position within fundraising. So I had done work on my own being a gift officer, and then eventually you manage other gift officers. And then when I met you in LA, I was managing the full team of fundraisers and also fundraising myself for that region. And then moved up and up to where I was managing not only teams of fundraisers, but teams of all the fundraising functions, including events, right? Even at the last job I had, it was over events and development operations, corporate and foundation fundraising, annual fundraising. So what I wanted to do when I kind of decided 4 years ago, I wanted more flexibility for myself and my family. I felt like I really had, it was interesting. Inside a lot of these roles, I was consistently told, you're like a consultant, or you have such good feedback, or I almost feel like I had this almost consultant lens or approach to the way I took on my real job.
Mm-hmm.
And so I loved that. I just kind of got fed by it. And I got really interested in like solving problems and applying things from prior workplaces in the current workplace. So I think that was there. And then I'd always, to be honest, because I came from a place with no money, I'd always needed to work on the side. So I had, with my employer's permission, I had been working for decades on the side on small projects because I needed to reinforce my income for my family.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt like that was a pull, and I got very used to having this consulting relationship. So when those two combined, I left 4 years ago and formed the Olympia Collective.
So when your clients come to you and they're like, okay, we want to bring our people back together, how are you helping them to think about whether or not to do in-person gathering again?
That's a great question. I think, to be honest, I probably approach it the way you would, right? Which is really thinking first about the why, like what's the objective?
Yeah.
What do you want to do? And then you want to think, is this event the right way to meet that objective? Are there multiple things that can meet the objective?
Mm-hmm.
So first off, I really try to dig in on what they're trying to do. And I'm actually a huge proponent of events that aren't fundraisers. So events that are innovation events, stewardship events, maybe doing a fundraising campaign alongside an event, and the event being a thank you event for that, or a reward for giving, or a recognition event, to where you attach the two things. Because when you have an event and a person can't go, and you think, oh, that's when I'm going to ask the person for money during the auction, you feel like you've lost the opportunity. But if you think about the campaign alongside it, and then that event is detached from it, I think that's really important. So I would say I really think about objectives, because the community portion, it is hard to do all of that in one event. And if you think about it more as an event attendee, it's hard to have met, to reach all those as an attendee. You might be recognized, to reconnect with the mission, and you want to see people, and all of us in 3 hours, it's hard.
Well, and then you can leave feeling Like, I'm not actually sure what I got out of that if there's too many things going on at once.
Yeah. And I will add, that's what I was going to add before. On the board piece, I have noticed that boards have really realized how important it is to work in person. And I've actually noticed where that in person is almost even more impactful than they thought. But many of my client boards are now converting to one in-person board meeting a year, the remainder being
virtual.
Hybrid. Yes. And I would say in that situation, maybe they previously did 4 in-person board meetings a year, and they're realizing, you know what, we need that in person, but we don't need it
not every quarter.
It's a lot of expense. Yeah. Especially ones that fly their board members to the meetings.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. That's a good example of how the world has changed. So the expectations are a little different now.
Yeah. And those meetings may not be hybrid themselves, right? They're either in person or they're Zoom, but the overall mix is hybrid because now it's 3 Zoom, 1 in person. Right?
Yes, totally. Yeah. So one of the things that's a departure from talking about philanthropy and events a little bit is more of like, it's sort of hard to take care of yourself always in this work and in this field. And so just interested in hearing how you decompress and take care of yourself.
That's a great, awesome question. And I think you actually have to have a bit of rigor around it more than you would think, especially as a female women-owned business like myself and like you, where you're one person and you've worked in big places before. I have some people I work with to help me with this, and then I traditionally do it as well. But I really look at my calendar a lot of times, and I have to constantly whittle down what I'm doing, to be honest.
Yes.
Like I really have to make sure I block times and I keep to them. I don't book them. And my sister's amazing and runs a lot of my calendar, but she knows. So if I really trust her, which I do, to handle calendaring, everything's great. It's when I go in and try to book something over something else. So, I mean, you do have to, because you're the only one taking care of yourself. You're your own boss and you're your own employee, right?
Yeah.
I'd say calendaring, like really critically reviewing my calendar is one. And then also deciding which work to take on. Can I take it on? This probably happens with you. You're so seasonal, right? So everybody wants you to have on the weekend of November 5th, and it's like
totally.
And you have to pick one. So I do try to get smart about what I'm taking on. And then, I will say all my clients are awesome, and they're actually really understanding when you ask for time. In general, I've rarely had a client push back on asking for a deadline extension. And I do build in, you probably do too on your timelines. I build in buffers anyway, so I'm always a little ahead.
Gotta have buffers.
I think for especially us women-owned small businesses, I think you do have to be first super organized.
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
But then you also have to be really kind of self-compassionate, or
boundaries.
You'll burn yourself out faster than you would at an organization, right?
Oh yeah, totally. And I think it can be really powerful to set this sort of example, whether it's to your team or to clients or whoever it is, that you have these boundaries and you're doing things that are outside of work, because we are all humans.
Yeah. And I do, this is like a confession, because I wouldn't have done this at my job, which is ironic to think about, but I have started thinking, and I'm going to start writing some blogs about this actually.
Okay.
I've started thinking and bringing my one or two of my kids with me on work trips when it makes sense and it's appropriate. And it's obviously not messing up with the client time or my work, where I don't feel like I'm leaving them all, and they can each explore a city with me and come with me. I did this twice in the last 2 months, and I was really glad I did.
Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I always love connecting with you. And then thank you for everyone who tuned in to listen to us today. And we'll catch you next time.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yay.